There you go.
All right, let's do it. Hey, what's the deal, everybody? Welcome to another Motivational Monday. It is your boy Talent, holding you down, trying to figure this thing out, man, because a lot of us, like I say it this week, I say it every week. You know, we got three types of people out here in the middle of these times we're going through. The climate is crazy. You know, we got racial wars, on top of justice wars, on top of a pandemic, on top of a quarantine, sprinkled with a little lockdown, and you know, with a side of Trumpism. You know, I don't even like to say the man's name. He's just 4-5 to me. FOH 4-5. Fuck out of here, 4-5. All right, so let's get motivated, man. Let's try to talk some people off the ledge. There's three types of people out there. People that's on the ledge right now. People that are close to being on the ledge. It could be a week away, a month away, a check away, an argument away, an eviction away. And then we got people number three, like myself. We think we got it together. But hey, given the circumstances of anything, can make anybody do anything. Our first guest coming on Motivation Mondays today is a comedian extraordinaire, a king, matter of fact, in this comedy thing in his own right. Ladies and gentlemen, you might have seen him on stuff like HBO's Def Comedy Jam, Comedy Central, BT's Comic View, Showtime at the Apollo. He's a Queens native. He reps Queens to the fullest on his sleeve. Don't talk about Queens. We might have a problem. We might go backwards from being motivated. Please welcome the one and only my good friend Kenny Williams to the show, Motivation Mondays. Kenny Williams is in the building. What's good, sir? How you doing?
Doing good, brother.
Oh, it's good to see you, man. There you go. Fix your phone. You've been doing enough of these to know better. Come on here. Come on here messing up my Motivation Mondays. You done been 1,600 Zooms in the last month. now you want to act like, oh, should I turn it sideways? Yes, you bastard.
Yeah. I could run a class on this Zoom shit. You ever see the guys that just like, hold up, nailed up, whip button,
Yeah.
whip button up? Yeah.
The funniest thing to see on Zoom, and I always had this thing, just before Zoom was popular, I just phones in general, like smartphones, I used to say the most dangerous thing in the world is an old Negro using new technology. Old Negroes and new technology, that's a ticking time bomb.
Man, I can still remember I'm teaching my pops how to work the VCR or the microwave, but really the microwave was most dangerous. Right, because we were sitting at the table. He like this, man, I'm gonna put this in there, and he had his sandwich in aluminum foil, right? Yo, that was the first time my younger brother cursed at my father. Said, "Daddy, what the fuck?" Right? He's
That's hilarious. You gonna kill all of us?
Yeah.
But that's funny because. I think the problem with that is, before we even get started on what we're going to talk about, but the funny thing about the microwave and the aluminum foil, the problem is us black folks, right? Whenever we get anything new, whether it's a TV, microwave, smartphone, logging on to Zoom, no matter what it is, we will not read the instructions.
Yes.
We will not. You will read a nasty novel, 700 pages. Before you will read 5 pages of vital information or something that can blow your house up.
It's not IKEA. It's you.
Right. Like,
IKEA.
what is wrong?
Man.
I don't get it, man. How are you today, my brother? First of all, how are you doing in this pandemic, bro?
I'm doing good. And I don't know if this is due, but I really want to give speedy recovery to Rodney Perry.
Yes. I've been talking about that all day. I was going to go. He's part of my Motivational Monday. So we definitely going to get to that. I started my day because I do Motivation Monday twice. I do a live platform on the Instagram and all that stuff in the morning. Mm-hmm. Well, at 12 noon, actually, every Monday. But then I come on here and I do my thing 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. as well, Motivating Monday. Okay. So my whole driving force this morning, just to give you a picture of my day today, I wake up And, you know, I always like to scroll on social media to see, but boy, it refreshes and I miss something. So I go in there, I'm looking, the first thing that pops up is a young lady that we know who's a frequent comedy supporter in Jersey. She posts an old picture of her and Rodney Perry, right? So I'm saying to myself, you know, waking up, you half groggy. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, it's not Throwback Thursday. Like, why would she post this old picture of them two? And then I hit the thing to read everything, and it's like, you know, prayers up for a speedy recovery for good dude Rodney. I was like, wait a minute, what? So I go right to his page. And what motivated me is I'm already in that mindset, like, oh my God, you know, what's happening? He got COVID. And I go to the page, and what do I see? The first thing that pop up on Rodney Perry's page. Rodney Perry is in the hospital, hooked to the ventilator, going live with people, like we talking right now. He on live. Here this man is fighting for his life on the machine, going live. And what I took from that was immediately it wiped my sadness and my you know, my empathy and all that stuff, which I was checking for. Immediately it wiped away, and it worked in reverse and started to uplift, motivate, and empower me in that moment. Because I said, yo, that's what I'm talking about. Like a true superhero. In your moment of peril, in your moment of you don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to end up for yourself, what is he doing? He's on live talking to mad people, you know, just, hey, man, it's real out there. You know, you see, I'm in here dealing with it, blah, blah, blah. And he hung up on one dude. One dude got all sentimental, looked like he about to cry. Rodney said, I got to hang up on you, man. I can't. That's not what this is. He said, you about to have a nervous breakdown, Negro, and I'm the dude with COVID-19. But it put me in such a beautiful place to start my day. And I came right on my live platforms and start sharing that energy, man. And instead of, you know, normally I have these techniques that I try to talk motivational eyes and little jewels I drop. It was just all about the energy I just got from Rodney and had to share. So while I'm doing this, comics from all over was tapping in, right? And we talking about it and tapping in. My man, you know, KB, who's going to be on this show in a minute, KB pops in, and a comic pops in, and then my man Ali Sadiq pops in. And dude, we had so much fun in the honor of that energy off of Rodney Perry. And if you didn't know no better, if you didn't catch us from the beginning of the show, you wouldn't have knew it was Motivational Mondays until only in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. If you came in somewhere in the middle of the movie, you'd been like, what the hell are they having all this fun for and going on? But it was in that spirit and energy. You know what I mean? So you're right. Prayers go out to our good friend, our comedy comrade and superhero now, Rodney Perry.
Yes.
It's dope, man. It's dope. So listen. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest and good friend, Kenny Williams. One of the very few people in comedy, Kenny, that I can call up like I did today. Say, hey, man, what you doing? Jump on, let's talk. That I can call, not just call and be there, but call and is a positive, motivated brother. And it crossed my mind because I said to myself, I said, damn. I said, let me call him and get him on the show because let me pick his brain, you know, on the record, not just me and you on sidebar like we always do, but on the record, how do you stay motivated right now?
You don't get to do this. This is my 30th year.
Me too.
Of doing this, and it's a humbling feeling. This didn't come from overnight. Like cats go, oh, Kenny's good, man. He's always a good dude, but they don't realize the hurdles and the obstacles that we went through, and we don't look them as failures and obstacles. They were lessons. These lessons that came that allow me to get to this place. You get what I'm saying? So
I do.
I think it's just humble. I think when you face a lot of pain, you can either fold or you can move on. And you already know I just went through some pain. You know what I mean?
I was going to get to that too. That's why like the question is so threefold.
Yeah. And I remember putting this post up and I was like, when you lose someone, and there are all the losses, and I experienced a lot of loss in the last 10, 15 years, when the people you lose and they passed away, you honor them, but you don't die with them. Life is for the living. And I remember putting this post up, and my good friend, you know, Marshall Brandon, and I had put this post up, and I said it. He said, "I thought you was trying to promote a show, right?" And
shout out to Marshall Brandon.
and he said, "I really realized when you were saying it that," he said, "it was classic Kenny Williams. It was like this life is for the living. You're not supposed to die with the person. You know what I mean? You're supposed to honor them. You recognize them. Yeah, you
Right.
feel this and you mourn it, but this is for the living. So I'm living for my mother, my father that I lost, and so many, my younger brother that I lost. So I'm living. I recognize the loss, but I'm living."
Right. And so in saying that we're living and life was for the living and we don't die with them, it still has to be something that we tap into. I'm a firm believer. It's something that we tap in, because this is the difference between us and the people, like I always use the expression, on the ledge. There's people on the ledge right now. And they probably been through some of the similar things that we've been through that we consider crazy or bad or indifferent. But there has to be something that we tap into that allows us to reach that motivated level to, like, because right now, let's be honest, what's to stop any of us from just laying on the couch every day or just losing our place and sense of dignity and be homeless, or, you know, don't want to deal with, I see a lot of people that don't want to deal with people right now.
Yeah, especially in this quarantine has showed us, you see the person who wants it, who really wants it, or who's going to waiting for something to happen. Now everyone's at the starting point now. All these big corporations, all the small business, we're at the same starting point. It's like now you can go independent. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. This is the crazy thing. When I mentor and actually when I do my comedy workshop, I had to change some things. And just instead of teaching them comedy, I had to realize this. And the first question I ask any of my students now, as I go forward, give me 10 whys. Like, why are you doing this? Not why because I want a big car and a big house. Like, really think about, because purpose has to outweigh outcome. And what's crazy, my daughter's middle name is Nia, which is from Kwanzaa. That's a Kwanzaa principle. Nia means purpose.
Okay.
So you got to find, like, what is the why? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you getting up 6 o'clock in the morning? Why are you going on stage? Like, some of these guys are not doing outdoor shows. They're not doing Zoom shows. And it's more than just the money. It's more or less like, I'm doing this because, one, I love doing this, and on some business, I want to stay relevant. Because I don't want to be around here next year and going, who's this Kenny Williams? Which is going to happen for a lot of guys. So it's like, my top whys is that I know I'm not going to live forever. So I want something here when I'm not here.
Right. You know what I mean? I like the way you put it and said, you know, you said this is a great time to go independent. Yeah. Because it's a restart for everything. So the leverage one person may have got up on you, they got to start over. Like, it all dissipates and starts over from the chopping block. And, you know, you're right. I agree when you said that. A light bulb went off. Like, you're absolutely right. It's a great time to be independent. And that's what makes me really feel optimistic about the other side of this thing for myself is guys like us who already went independent, like we now become ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You know, whether people recognize that or not, you now have put yourself in a position where you're in the head of the game because you're doing something now that I'm watching people in real time start to do what we've been done. You know, they're just starting to get on it and like, you know, let me do this, let me do that. We've been doing it though. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting that you say that because that's one of the realest things, you know, I've heard in a way of somebody describing how today is, you know, from a business point. And again, I believe it's something that we must tap into, for lack of a better term. We have to tap into something that's the thing that is going to be the difference maker in us going to that next level or not. You know, so as a comedian, you know, forget as an overall man, a father, a husband, and all that. But as a comedian, in a time where those comedic stages and ample opportunities have either shut down or drastically narrowed, because for a minute it shut all the way down. Everybody had to figure this out, right? Yeah. So now I would say it went from shutting all the way down to drastically being narrow. Me and you, we're workaholics. So we're the type of guys that when you pick up your Facebook or you go on and look at any page of Kenny Williams and Talon Harris, we're 90% time somewhere else, not home, somewhere else working. So now you flip that scenario with the pandemic that you now 90% of the time have to figure out how to do all the things you can do from home.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Speaking of that, you do something. I want to applaud you because what I've been on since I've been on my platforms is grabbing the people who, to me, have stepped up the game on this virtual thing because, again, everything's changed and you could easily know when to hold them, know when to fold them type thing. And we come on here and we entertain the people. I always say this phrase, remember this. And there's a phrase I took from somewhere else that I made it make sense with real life. But remember the phrase, one man chicken is another man's steak, right? now we know, I always get a laugh because that comes from some girl stuff. That comes from, we talking about women, you know, it originated like, you'd be like, oh, I hate that chick over there. But the other dude's like, yo, she dope. You'd be like, all right, you know, one man chicken, another man's steak. So I get it. But I can apply it to regular life. Like, so what's causing people to crumble on one instance is empowering this guy on the other instance. And it's the same perfect storm. It's just how are people handling and adjusting to it. So you're one of the people I applaud because of back to the essence. I'm mad that I had a bunch of family over doing the driveway drinking yesterday, so I didn't get to tune in. You had my fellow New York King Capone, correct? How'd that go?
Before I go to that, and thank you. Let me tell you about Back to Essence before I even get to that Negro. Because we had Rob on, and that it's hilarious. It's classic. It's classic because I had y'all, because you know y'all the founding fathers of New York Kings. Back to the Essence. What's so crazy about New York? Back to the Essence. The concept came from, like a lot of things come from pain. Like a lot of times when we came from things, it was like, actually came up with Back to the Essence from the passing of Damon Rozier. His buddy Tyrone approached me. He was like, Ken, I want you to take over from Damon as far as the room with Essence. And I was like, I don't want to do a weekly room. Right. But I want to honor and help this because a lot of guys work at that room. A lot of, that was a lot of stage time. That was like the feudal room. That was a good room. So I said, I want to do it. So I brought in Marlon because a lot of the folks in the area, Marlon had all those Brooklyn rooms. So I brought him. I said, let's come up with, I don't want to come in from laughter is the key of life. Right. So we're going to come with something to make this transition, but still honor it. And it's so funny. It came from that to what it is now. We went from doing it at Caroline's to now here we are. But I already seen it before Caroline's. It was like a podcast. So when we very started doing it, it was really just us talking. Then next thing I said, let's bring on guests. Right. Because now we're virtual. And I said, don't just bring on, anyone. Let's get someone that we connect with or that's a big part of this game that we're in. You know what I mean? So we started doing that, so on and so forth. So we had you. Right. We went with Bob. We had Tracy Wiggs. We had Coco Brown. We had Rodney Perry. Right. Okay. I grabbed Rob just as he's trying to promote his movie. So I said, Hey,
Shout out to Rob Stapleton and his movie The Stuff, by the way. Go ahead.
yeah. So I said, hey, let's go, let's keep this, but it's going from a different place. Let's go to Capone, right? Call Capone. He called me in, FaceTime me. What's up? You stole my name. He actually had Back to the Essence, right? So I said, who cares? You're not using it anymore. I'm using it. Right? That's our relationship.
Yeah.
He said, yo, I'm ready, man. I heard about your show. I'm ready. I'm ready. So and so forth.
Right.
This is what happened. We got older in the game, right? When we started this, when we were in our 20s, we woke up. So this cat told him at 4:00. I said, I'm going to send you the link. Same thing like you. Send you the link.
Oh, God.
Okay, you see where this is going.
Yeah,
right?
I see where this is going. Go ahead.
I said, are you ready? Wasn't responding back. Next thing you know, I'm like, yo, it's 5:00. We're supposed to go in. 5:30. So Marlon looking at me, you go like this. Did you speak to him? You know Cap, and you worked with him a long time. He's not one of them lists that you don't know if he's gonna show up. If he say he's gonna do it, I can trust him on his word, right?
Right.
And plus, this is virtual. Just get on Zoom link or whatever.
You would think.
Finally, 5:30. 5:45. And I told Marlon, I said, we never ran into this before, but at the end of the day, this is Back to the Essence. This is our show. We have to carry it. There's going to be possibilities because what we're dealing with, people are not going to show up. So 5:55. I look in the corner and there it is, Capone. Right? He was texting me all the time. Man,
at 5:55.
5:55.
And the show started at
5:00. But but this is the whole thing. And you know about a brand, you know about a show. And this goes back to as far as like what as far as like what we're talking about. When you build something, like if this would have been our first show, it would have been a disaster. But our people are used to the brand. It's not about, not to take away anyway from yourself, Bob Sumner, and all the, the people that we had on. At the end of the day, it's between Marlon and myself.
Right, you're responsible.
It's our brand. So
right.
We got to carry the show. And I'm glad I said that to him. So I said, hey, bro, we really don't need you at this point. We're going to move you to next week. But it wasn't all comical fun. It wasn't no, we get it. You know what I mean?
No, you did the right thing because, you made an executive decision. I get it. And it was a dope, because look, here's your options and alternative. Do you want to bring them in for 5 minutes? Or do you want to break your mold of what you do traditionally and go 15, 20 over? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what I've realized with this is the hardest part of this whole thing is these virtual shows and giving these people these information shows. It's same with me and you talk about this all the time when we're building comedy nights and comedy rooms and comedy clubs, that you can't straggle and be all over the place with your time and format. You got to train your audience. If you train them and they say, well, Kenny, he go 5 on the nose every time, they will eventually come in at 5 on the nose. Yeah. But if you start at 5:15, 5:38, 5:78, 5:07, then that's how your audience is going to straggle. They can't set their watch to you. You have to treat these authentically as real shows. Yes. And it has to work like clockwork. Like this, like WMS, Wims Radio that we're doing this thing on right now. These brothers they don't play time. They're on point. These brothers, the brother behind the scenes right now, like, all right, we go live 3, 2, 1. Okay. So whatever the hell going on behind me, they cut that shit out. I'm live.
you know what's crazy about these links now with everyone is learning, because now you're doing it in your homes, right? So now you got to convert your home to like a studio. So when you got to tell your family members, now is not the time. You got to put recording on the door, what have you. Yes. And you know how loud my wife is, right? So that's why I'm up in the attic. I keep her down there, and she would be talking like that. And girl, so now you got to treat the space you're in as your recording space. Like this is your TV studio, what have you. And cats don't pay attention to production.
Exactly. All right. So let me ask you this. Let's shift gears a little bit because we want to keep people motivated. It's funny because we just talking about the guest not making it on time. My second guest ain't gonna be on time, so screw him. Me and you gonna rock.
Okay.
So in this entertainment thing, we're talking about being motivated and keeping focused. Has there been anybody on your list? 2, 3, 4, 5 people where you are looking from the outside looking in that are doing something similar to what we're doing? Like oh, that guy, he's doing this. I like what he's doing. Oh, that guy, this is entertaining. They twisted this, or he's consistently doing this. Has anybody that flagged your attention? That because I have a few people that I tune into in my spare time. But has anybody caught your attention?
I like most recent, and then I go to who immediately grab my attention. Like I like what Sean Cornelius is doing. Right.
Right.
You what I tell people at the end of the day when you grab some of this is that it's about content. You know what I mean? It's not like some people are just going live to go live, even if it's a DJ or anything like that. So I like with Sean, and you know what, brother? And I'm gonna have to. You have turned. We talk about internet comedians. I said, talent should write a book on this is the consistency. This is one thing. You know what's my problem? And I actually wrote with these guys, and that's how I learned to edit my movies and be online, social media, and do skits. All the skits I'm different. I learned it from them, but I was like, I had to take my hat off to them because they always bringing up content every day. I'm like, I can't do that. Because we work, and it's one thing to show up at a show, but to actually edit and put up
every day
films
and stay on top of it.
You
got to stay on top of it.
So I'm more impressed to the guys that made the adjustment. You know what I mean? Like you have made the adjustment. It's so many of us that you go, I ain't messing with that Zoom, and you going. The first Zoom I did was with JP Justice.
Oh God!
Right. And you know why it was so good?
JP.
It was the same thing that when you did the Mother's Day show with X-Men Entertainment, like when we did Jokers Wild comic series. This is what guys don't understand. At the end of the day, and you have done these shows where you just went off a script. You said forget the set.
Right.
It's like sometimes it's just right there. And that was an hour and a half. We didn't do no set. That was just these pro comedians inside of a room that just vibe off of what and so not to take anything away from like the up and coming people, but yourself, JP, like me and Marlon have grew into something, what have you. Like we grew a platform. But I like the cats that made the adjustment. You know what I mean? Like Rudy Rush is getting now into that. He's grabbing his radio platform and understanding, like, making that transition.
I got to stay visual, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, we are in a visual business, and with the exception of mainstream radio, you must be seen. The only exception to that rule is radio, and even radio eventually went visual. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like comedians. That's a necessity. That's an avenue we must always walk down that block, so to speak. But my thing is like how I got into doing what I'm doing on these platforms it was a perfect storm. I think a lot of things have to happen and come together for us to break the monotony of what we're used to. You know what I mean? Because we have our own schedule that we end up formulating, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. It just comes into this place, And next thing you know, this is what you do. Day in, day out, this is what you do. Day in, day out, this is what you do. You do a few things here and there, but basically there you could set your watch to it. And when the world shut down, it created a perfect storm. Now, two things. I was already getting ready to do my podcast thing. You know, I had 2 or 3 ideas I wanted to do. I wanted to do one with my son. I had these ideas. So I was already getting podcasts ready. That was going to happen by the end of this year already. And then what this did was I said, you know what? I'm looking at my desk, right? I'm one of those rare guys with goddamn 10 Facebook pages, IG, Twitter. Like I literally, with the gadgets in here, can set up 7, 8 cameras at a time and be on all these things simultaneously. A lot of people got one thing. So I'm like, yo, first I started doing IG. I'm like, why am I sitting on one thing? And I stumbled on Twitter had a live. And I'm like, oh, Twitter got a live. And I added Twitter. Then I knew Facebook had a live. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in front of, when I go live, with the exception of this show, I'm on 6 cameras at one time, right? So I'm doing it. I said, but what really got me was when it first happened, I'm one of those dudes that I'm very optimistic. So I never, in the middle of this movie happened to us called the pandemic, I never got into a groove of this was going to happen for a long time. I've never gotten there mentally. In my spirit of spirits and in my emotion and mental capacity, I never gave into the fact that, oh, you buckle up, we're going to be here for a while. I never was that guy. It was always like, give them a few months. First it was like, give them 30 to 90 days, they'll get it together. Then it was like, okay, well, it's going to go through the summer. Then it was like, oh no, this year is shot. You know what I mean? So I had to go through these little steps of reality, and that was just the optimistic dude in me that I always am. So being in this climate, so that was one of the things that I kept getting calls from our comrades in the comedy game. And the one thing I found that was synonymous, everybody was complaining, obviously, because gigs were just being canceled after the other, blah, blah, blah. So cats that was living, you know how people in the workforce work check to check, comedians work show to show. So they were panicking left and right. And the one thing I found out by talking to each comedian, and I swear to God to you, on my dead mother, it didn't make sense to me that everybody was talking from an individual base. Nobody was accepting that this was the world right now. Like the world was under wraps, right? So every conversation, I found myself 10 minutes in saying the same thing. I kept saying, nigga, this is everybody. You're talking to me like this. You're talking to me like to call T, like this just happened to you, because I'm the guy to get people work. So it's like, man, T, I had all these things canceled. What you got? Nigga. The world is shut down. What do you mean what I got? I got a couch and cable TV like you. I got Netflix. I got Hulu. What you got?
But you know what? No one. And I'm gonna finish off my list. This is the funny thing. They hear pandemic, but I don't think they understand the definition of that. It's global. It's not epidemic. It's pandemic. Like this, you go to like all these guys that were going to London and Amsterdam, that shut down. You were going to Korea, that shut down. It's global. Like the guy, that's why like I respect and like being around you. Like we're innovators. And I remember you saying it. There's guys that think outside the box, and then there's worker bees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the 2 other guys, the one guy that grabbed on this to the very beginning that I seen, and I'm not saying he's the first or whatever, was Ali Sadiq. He already had his virtual IG comedy club.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, he put a whole club together. Yep.
He put a whole club together. And then on the other side, young cat, Nick Alexander, he called me up. He said, Ken, no disrespect, man. I want to see if I can get, I said, well, you just say it, you know, because I'm like the OG. He said, can I get Timothy the Street Clown to perform? Because he has a comedy pop-up variety show. And I said, yeah, man, I could do a character. He said, because I want to do a character. I said, hey, bro, I seen your ticket price. You can afford Timothy the Street Clown. You can't afford Kenny Williams. Your ticket price needs to be at $15, $20, right? So
You're terrible. You're terrible. That's
Totally
terrible. That's funny
different.
though.
Yo, it's
And
but the
you know
funny.
what's funny? My family hired me for a Zoom, and I did the same thing. They was like, "How much you charge?" I said, "Listen, you can't afford talent. Just hire your cousin."
Yes, they don't understand it. It's so funny when you get to the and this is the funny thing, like the transition now is happening because everyone once upon at the very beginning, between March and April, it was cash tips and donations. And what's the crazy thing? Those were more that was more profound than someone buying a ticket. Because your minimum, like when you do a donation, people will give like you'll say $5, $10. Some people were giving you $50, $100, right?
Right.
As far as the donation. So that means that they believe like it's not like, oh my God, I know you're doing bad, but look, I want this. You know what I mean? Like I just had a conversation with a comedian who was like, man, I know this Zoom is gonna be over. It's gonna be over by September. I'm like, what news what live stream news are you listening to? Like this Zoom ain't going to this online virtual Zoom stream like all it's you better get and I'm not saying you have to do these shows,
Right.
but you better adjust to where we are. That normal that you knew in February
Gone.
is gone.
Even when we get back to normal, it's not going to be normal.
No, yes.
You know what I mean? And even when we get back to what we can consider the new norm, it's not going to be normal as you know it. So you're right. We need to get to that point. If nothing else, like I told people, and you know what's funny? Now that we've gone on 6 months into this thing, 5, 6 months, depending on when you were shut down, where you live at, I've gotten a base, right? So let's say I'm talking and performing or got about 50, 60 people each time I go. That don't count the people who listen to the saved product later on. So you got hundreds of people, if not thousands, that are listening and following what you're doing. I've gotten a following base that have set their watch to these things, and they're just first ones on, and they there for the deliverance of whatever it is, whatever that jewel you drop in, whatever that entertainment thing is, right? So my thing is, they're concerned, and I've had this conversation with a couple of, they're like, you know what the worst part is? Because, I mean, people, Kenny, I don't solicit for no money at all. You'll never see my Cash App pinned up there and all. I don't do that. So I tell people, you know, while I'm locked in here, I'm sipping tequila. You want to send something? My show is powered by tequila. Tequila is the hand sanitizer for the insides. So if you want to show your appreciation, and I kid you not, 2-3 times a week, that doorbell rings with a couple of bottles at a time. Like right before I got on here, I got a delivery. So my thing is, people were concerned, like, damn, you know what I'm scared of? You know, when the world opened back up and you go back to getting on your crazy ass schedule, we ain't gonna see you no more like this connection here. And I'm like, no, I said, you may not see me. I may have to moderize it and edit it a little bit. I said, but I'm not stopping this because I found a separate side niche, you know what I mean, that I want to hang on to. You know, I do this thing that I do so many things. Like my Sunday stories alone, it's like people love that. You got a guy with 30 years in the business that's giving you behind the scene, firsthand accounts of stuff that most of the stuff that we stumble on and talk about, bro. Be honest with you, I know the people involved. If I slip up and say their name sometime, they're going to deny that shit. Like, no. Yeah, it happened. I was there. You know, so to my people, even this here, no matter what, we want to keep these things going and do what we got to do. There's things here right now that are going to motivate us. And then there's things that are set to do the opposite to us. Tear us down, get us distracted, point you in the wrong direction, slow your progress, stagnate you, get you complacent, all the things that are opposite of success and progress and moving forward, right? So I can name 6 things. I can say things that motivate me. We just lost John Lewis, right? How are you not motivated by the life of Representative John Lewis, a man who's been on the forefront from the beginning of civil rights movement and fighting to even in his death. This is how real freedom fighter this guy is. On his deathbed, he pens an op-ed, sends it to the Wall Street Journal, not the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and says, hey, don't print this until the day that at my funeral, the day they bury me, print it. So they holding on to this thing for who knows how many weeks or whatever. And the day he died, they print it as his wishes. And the message in there, if you ever get a chance to bring that up and read it to yourself, it's like, yo, and he's talking knowing that because I told you, you ain't gonna play this until I die. He's talking from the grave, actually. He's like, yo, I'm not there with you. You know what I mean? I'm not there with y'all, but this is what we need to continue to do. This is what we need to look out for. So that's at the top of my motivational list. But then as you get motivated with that, here come FOH 45, fuck out of here 45, will come out like that day or close to that day. And he gave this housing speech that was racist as hell. He said, I'm passing the sign in this bill right now that all my suburban people yelling out word about these affordable income motherfuckers moving around y'all no more. So now your property value will go up and your crime will go down. If that ain't the most loudest racist whistle blowing I've heard, dog whistle, your property value will go up and your crime will go down. What are you saying, bro? So that's the distraction side of it. You understand what I'm saying? I could be motivated by the life and times of my man Malik B, who started The Roots. He's the founder of The Roots, Malik B. One of the rappers with Black Thought and Questlove and all of them. And Rozelle, remember when they came on the scene, Malik B died at the early age of 47. But when you look at that and you say, hey, this guy founded one of the most iconic hip-hop trend-setting groups, you know what? I could be motivated by that. But then you turn around and here come, you mess around on your remote and your TV stopped at Fox News and them two stupid black chicks, them Trump bitches. Diamond. Now, you know what's funny? During the certain climate and situation and us black people having to be our sisters and brothers keeper, I have cut down on the use of the word bitch. But those two bitches.
Wait, okay, let me ask you this question. And I'm going to go back to legacy, what you were saying as far as Joan Lewis. Who you think is more dangerous in this Republican? Candace Owens, those diamond chicks, or Angela Stanton? If you know Angela Stanton, that's really gung-ho as far as abortion, and she stands for Trump. She was released from jail with his, he pardoned her.
Oh.
And she's running for Congress in Atlanta.
I think the most dangerous is the Candace chick out of those three. And I'll tell you why.
More dangerous than Diamond and...
Man, ain't nobody. Them stupid ass mother. Let me tell you something. I keep telling you, you keep trying to get me to say bitches. Them bitches. Let me tell you something, man. And the only reason why she's more, this is what I was going to say, the reason why she's more dangerous. She's more dangerous than those two because the average person sees them and they're either entertainment or buffoonery. They don't really, a lot of people are not going to take them as serious as they will a Candace. Candace sits there and tries to actually talks from this real solemn place. And like Fox News, she brings together these bogus or shrewd facts to back up whatever it is she's saying. And the solemnness that she comes from when she's saying these things, that's dangerous because like Trump, even though the average person, most of us know when he's lying, most of us don't. So the country's split. You got half the country that could say because they're educated go, nah, that's not true. But you got half the country that's not that educated that go, well, he's the president if he say it. So she comes from that solemn place of sitting there with that stern believability and that, you know, those falsified facts. Like I've watched her one time when the police brutality thing was at its height after the killing of George Floyd. I watched her spin some numbers that if you don't know no better, the numbers sound legit. It sound like she had a real valid point talking about how more white people were killed at the hands of cops than blacks or whatever in America. But the way she spin the numbers, if you don't know no better, you'd be like, oh, she got a point. But if you took the time or have been following this thing and looking at the actual numbers, you'll be like, that's a lie. But because the way she delivers it, there's going to be a constituency who believe it to be fact and true. She's the most dangerous.
Yeah. But let me go to follow up what you were saying with John Lewis. And since this is Motivational Monday, and you're saying like, what's my motivation as far as doing this? And it's not that I got older, but it can also get you to that point, like, what is your legacy? Like, what are you living for? You know what I mean? Like all the shit, all the things that you're doing comedy wise, what do you give to? What do you give your time to? And you, brother, do for a lot of organizations. And it actually motivated me, like, because we don't have a big platform, but we're able, because of our skill set, to bring a very heavy topic and make it edible for our people to listen to. So it's like, so what are you doing? Are you doing this for a car? You're doing it for a big house? Are you doing this more? So that's why, like, I tell like guys when I mentor, I teach them, there's a guy that told me, teach me this. There's dreaming and then there's a vision. Dreaming, you still sleep. A vision, you can actually visualize and see it. And you can actually work towards. Like when you start to visualize, go like, hey man, where I've always wanted to perform at Madison Square Garden. I can actually visualize what outfit I was wearing, how I'm gonna get there, what I'm gonna talk about. When you're dreaming, it's fantasy. You still sleep. But a vision is like you can actually work towards, you can actually see it, and you start to build this thing that's bigger than what you are here physically. Then you move on, from here from now. Like so it's so funny that we talk about Trump. His legacy is horrible. You know what I mean? Here you are having your voters are sick. You got your voters sick. You got the, I'm not gonna wear a mask because that's against my freedom of speech. You know what I mean? If I want, they fighting in Walmart. It's crazy is that here, if this man, this was crazy, he was supposed to be an example. If he back in March or April, like a lot of people were like, oh, this is not real. You can't lie. These numbers are real. These numbers are real. Like these, what have you. So for you to now put on a mask or what have you would have saved so many lives.
Yo, I was laughing. It's funny you say that because just today I was watching the news and they had this real country ass white FOH 4 or 5 supporting family that didn't wear the mask. The whole family fucked up right now, right? So now they are seeing it with the mask on. Yeah, we thought it was bullshit, and man, it's real out there. Everybody needs to wear their mask. Dude, I'm in tears. Like, how do you not see that from the gate? How is it that we got to beat you in the head to help save yourself, right? And then they interviewed one guy in the street, some business owner, and it was like, in his business, I forgot what kind of store it was, but he was like, you can't come in with a mask. Like, he's so headstrong on it. If you got a mask and you take it off, you want to buy something out of this store, you want to come in this store. And the lady goes, really? Even with 150,000 people dead? And he was like, yeah, I don't believe those numbers. I don't believe them. And it scares the hell out of me, these people. But again, those are the negative people that work backwards against trying to motivate people. I like to look at stuff that's right in front of us that we can take as a motivational tool. Like, for example, I'm going to talk sports real quick for you. I look at what the NBA has done, right? And at least, even if it doesn't work,
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Sorry. No
problem. What the hell? How the man gonna tell me to hold? How you gonna tell me to hold the middle of my show? This dude crazy. Because he gotta go take a doodle or something. You can't tell me You know, I mean, but the man Kenny Williams got a great point when he says that, you know, what do you want your legacy to be? What are you in it for? And what do you wish to leave behind? What said, you know, that's why I said the whole John Lewis thing. That's why it's so more amazing to me in the latter years because, you know, you got hip to him and learned all the things you needed to learn later on. You know, you might be late to the party or the impact or the depth of that party, how deep it is, but you can't beat that I go to my grave and I leave this thing behind. Most people have trouble leaving a list or a will behind when they die. You know, where these couple of things are going to go to or not. So I just find
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And just in recapping, you know, we agree on the John Lewis thing. I was saying, in a motivational sense, in sports, you got to look at, like, if I'm a sports team, I don't care if I'm a hockey, baseball, whatever, I got to look at what the NBA is trying to do with this bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very motivating if I'm a sports, like, how am I baseball and don't look at that and go, hey, that's a good idea. We need to try that. Keep people alive, play the game. How am I not the NFL look and go, you know, they're on to something right there. You know what I mean? And that was my hope when it was announced and it was explained what they're trying to do, that the other sports leagues would kind of follow suit, but they didn't. You know what I mean? And they're wondering why they postponing baseball games all over the world, because you let these dudes live life like it ain't real out here. Again, you are in denial.
Yes.
Like that, those people with no teeth that won't wear a mask. You are the people with no teeth that won't wear a mask.
I'm not going to the dentist because the dentist got COVID. Like,
is crazy. You know what? I think why baseball, because it's not a contact sport. So they felt like, you know, but they don't realize is that you're still gonna leave this diamond and go to and come back. That's why all these Florida, all these hot spots, you like this. The best thing the NBA did, and there was a great thought out bubble outside of Lou Williams going to Magic City. But that's another.
You know, it was Magic City though. Well, go ahead.
because their wings.
Hold on.
Wings are crazy.
Forget putting the wings and the support of Lou Williams. Nobody's ever caught the COVID from a fat ass. I'm just saying. They say coughing, sneezing, it comes from here. It's viral. It's a viral infection. And it never shot out nobody else. It's all here. But go ahead.
Yo, one thing about comedy, and I talked about this, I said, all the athletes, I wonder who's going to be the first one to try to sneak his side chick into the bubble, right? Like,
hilarious.
It's a whole thing. So football can do all these things from the bubble. It's a great plan. Idea. So like it can go to the whole dynamics as far as football. All these sports can do it if you can get these guys to just stay, like you said. And it's like going to another planet. Hey, I'm gonna got the spaceship. We're gonna play in Mars.
And my thing is, I understand that these sports have different sizes, numbers, right? They're dealing with different numbers. But you just, maybe your bubble's bigger than the NBA bubble. Maybe your bubble's smaller than it. Don't matter. You guys have the money and the means to do this, to protect everyone involved. If you want to bring the sports back. Don't get me wrong. You could easily say, you know what? Let's skip this year and come back and reboot. But if you're going to throw it out there, you have to respect the power of this virus and how it's spreading and how you get it and all these things. You have to respect that. There's no way around that, bro. Like, so I say that in one part, I respect that about the NBA. And the other thing is the WNBA and the NBA, when you watch these games, I'm really proud of how they had to embrace this fight for equality and the social injustice thing. From looking at the floor, from looking at the names and quotes on the jerseys, like from every angle of it, and having people. What I'm not proud of is these random ass players who still ain't getting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the one guy on this team, the one guy on that team. Yeah, I didn't take a knee because Jesus, when I was little, Jesus bought me some now laters. If I could virtually choke this motherfucker real quick, are you kidding me? Something so big, you know the right side of history to be on right now. That's the thing that's killing me about this. It's so blatantly obvious for people to come up with reasons to not participate, and you of color, shame on you.
It should become so evident. They should not just apologize to Kaepernick. Now this ain't a big. Remember, and I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong, but he was formerly Chris Jackson. He was in the NBA. Now Abdul. Remember,
Yeah.
he did it before Kaepernick, right? When he stood there, you know, he wouldn't do what have you.
Yeah.
Now you need to go back and go. Now you see it, like all these, like, so now it's so funny when you look at Drew Brees, who is just clueless. He had to wind up apologizing to go like, it's not about your flag. It's not. This is not about being patriotic. Is that we're dying?
Yeah, but because but that's spin, Kenny. That goes back to the girl I told you about, Candace. The sad thing is these people with this hard right wing agenda, this conservativeness, that everything else is reckless, and we trying to change the world too fast, and we blah blah blah, and we, you know, ain't no real racism out there, and all that. Those people are the people who are against change to me.
Yeah.
Then you got the other half, which is motivated for change, because we know where we come from. We know the history. So how can you in one breath admit the history when the very next breath say, so what?
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep living the way we live it. Because they're so ignorant. And when you're ignorance, people, is not that you're stupid. You just don't know. You lack the information. So you're so ignorant to the fact that you don't know what the word equality is. Most people think us fighting for equality mean they got to give up something. Yeah. No, we're not saying give up something. We're saying equality. Me and you got the same stuff.
Yeah.
The same chances at life.
Yeah.
The same chances of living when the police pull us over for some weird infraction. But it can't start until the cops see a black guy ride by, a white guy ride by, an Asian guy ride by, an Indian guy ride by, and he reacts the same exact way no matter who's in the car.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what that side is missing and don't get and don't understand, my brother. And again, brother, I applaud you. Keep doing what you're doing. We got 30 in this joint, man. We are, you know, one of hit the word. You know what's funny? Veterans don't accept their veteranship depending on how you phrase it. When you come to do your OG, nobody want to hear that shit. Don't call me old. Right? I'm still in the movement like you. Don't call me old. Yeah, you OG. No. But then somebody come right behind him and go, "Oh my God, Kenny Williams, you are a legend." You be like, "Yeah, thank you."
I'm gonna say this, because I got a supervisor, so at some point I gotta get back to slave duties. Right? No. Listen. And this is so funny. And then motivational Monday, a lot of guys call me OG. They call me Uncle Kenny, and so on and so forth. And I don't cringe on it. I don't go, "Oh my God, I ain't old," or what have you. I've seen a lot of guys get on platforms, that's like a disrespect. You know what's a disrespect? You know what's a disrespect? Calling you old Negro. Get out of here, old dude, right? That's a disrespect. If a cat call you OG or call you uncle or call you it's some people like they call me like Big Daddy or pimp or play or what have you. That's a term of endearment.
Right.
That means they respect you and they respect like the time you put into this. So they don't want to like they give that to you. So it's like cats like 5 years younger than me going, "What's up, OG?" It's a respect. Stop getting away because these cats want to be 25.
But see, Kenny, your hood intellect is all intact. a lot of black people hood intellect ain't intact, so they don't know what's a insult and what's a compliment. They can't differentiate. The funniest thing in the world is like Ali Sadiq jumped on the live earlier and he said something that had me crying. He was talking about, he said, you ever notice when you black, when you look black, like your skin is brown or black, he said, no one questions your blackness. He said, but light-skinned Negroes, he said, they got to know all the information in the books. He said they gotta know all the born dates of Frederick Douglass and everybody. They gotta know where he was born at, the year, and he died. And he said, but when you're black and when your skin is actually black, no one questions your blackness. But light-skinned, he said, sit in the room with Pierre, comedian Pierre. He said Pierre can tell you everything about Booker T. Washington.
Yo, I love all my light-skinned brothers.
Yeah, my God. I think it's so funny. I think it's funny.
I was like this. They are blacker than me, right? So,
hey,
brother,
we got to go. Thank you, my brother. I love you. Appreciate you, fam. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Williams, that's my good friend here on Motivation Mondays. This is how we get down, people. In closing, I closed the way I opened up. Today was a very motivating day. Our prayers and everything go out to our good friend in the comedy game, the one and only incomparable Rodney Perry. Look him up, Google him, go on social media. As soon as you see him, you're going to know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't have time to list all his credits and everything, but he is a beacon of light and hope in the entertainment world. And we wish a speedy recovery to see him on the other side of this thing called COVID-19. It's been a motivational Monday. It's been your boy Talent. One more again, I hope we moved somebody. I hope we stimulated a brain cell and got somebody pointing in the right direction. And more importantly, hope we got another body off the ledge. It's your boy Talent. Till next Monday, let's stay motivated. Peace.